It was a wake-up call to our armed forces. We needed a new way to combat this threat. Traditional anti-aircraft measures could not knock these extremely fast jets out of the sky. And of course, in 1945, the United States ushered the world into the atomic age. We dropped 2 bombs in Japan, one on Hiroshima, one on Nagasaki. Fat man and little boy. Changed the world forever. In 1949, the Soviets exploded their first atomic bomb, and the Cold War was on in earnest. It was essentially the two biggest bullies on the block trying to see who blinked first. So it ushered us into the arms race. You build 100 missiles, we'll build 200, and so on and so forth. So it was a very scary standoff. For those of us that lived through it, and I can see some folks here, I'm not going to point you out, but you were probably around for it as well as I. Some of us may remember, my generation was probably one of the last to remember this, but some of you may have had the magic desks at your school. Doing the drills, you crawl under your desk, you put your hands over your head, you don't look out the window at the light, and you'll be fine. It just kind of goes to show how naive we were back then, but it did give us...
different take on it.
What's that?
We have a whole different take on that.
Yeah. And, it did give us a false sense of security. I'm not sure how much good it would have done us. My school in particular, we also had a magic bomb shelter. It was a hallway next to the cafeteria, had a bomb shelter sign. You go in there, the whole school blows up, the hallway's fine. So, but it was a very scary time. But luckily, we're all here today to talk about it. Nothing ever happened. Can any of you guess where they got the name Nike Missile?
Yeah.
You got it. But yeah, believe it or not, we get asked this question all the time. Why did they name the missiles after the shoes? That is not the case. The Nike missiles were named after Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. And that's also where the shoe company got their name. But the Nike missiles, well, this was the United States' very first guided missile program. For some odd reason, our government didn't want us transporting fully assembled nuclear missiles along our highway system. So we got them here in pieces. And this is a container for a Nike Hercules missile. But they built them like that on purpose. They didn't want you to know exactly. You didn't want you to look at it and go, hey, nuclear missile. So they wanted it to kind of look like a propane tank, something nondescript. So if you see it coming down the highway on top of a trailer like this one behind you covered in a big green tarp, you wouldn't think twice about it. But where we're standing right here, you may be wondering what this contraption is, what this little pit is. This is the refueling area for the Nike Ajax missile. And don't ask me why they put the refueling area right next to the warhead building. I can't answer that question for you. But the very first incarnation of the Nike missile, the Nike Ajax, had a very volatile and corrosive fuel mixture. It was a combination of red fuming nitric acid, JP4 jet fuel, and several other oxidizers, which were equally corrosive and combustible. This mixture was so corrosive, in fact, you actually had to empty the fuel out of these missiles every 2 to 3 years. And this is where they'd refuel them. To refuel one of these missiles, you lay it on the back of a trailer like this one, hook it up to the 2.5 truck or the 2.5 ton truck or the deuce and a half here, pull the missile into this pit here until the missile was just at the right angle so you could put fuel in. You'd hook up the fuel tank to this device right here, lift it up, run a hose down, and very, very gently ease the fuel into the missile as carefully as you could. It was very time-consuming, extremely dangerous process. When the crews were doing this, they had to wear covering from head to toe, hazard suits. You get into that red fuming nitric acid on your skin, instant 3rd-degree burn. Very dangerous stuff. You had face covering. When they're handling the red fuming nitric acid, they wore red gloves. So the surrounding crews know exactly what chemical they're handling at any given time. When they switched to the JP4, they'd switch to green gloves. But to their credit, they never had any accidents here at this site. And in case they did, if you look behind us, the Army built up this berm right here. And you can see another one on the other side of the warhead building. That was in case there was an explosion in this area. Hopefully minimize the explosion, direct it upwards, minimize the damage to the surrounding crew and equipment. But again, to their credit, they never had to find out if that would work or not. They never had an accident at this site. There was a site in New Jersey, right in the Nike Ajax refueling area. Something created a spark. There's an explosion. 10 servicemen lost their lives in a blink of an eye. So this is an extremely dangerous, life-threatening process. So it was definitely not a laughing matter.
Did people volunteer for this duty, or was this like an assignment?
It was voluntary. There was a trade-off when you signed up for the Nike program. You had to sign up for 4 years, which is a long time considering most enlistments are 2 to 3 years typically. Particularly during the Vietnam era, the trade-off was if you signed up for the Nike Missile program, they told you, we're not going to send you to Southeast Asia. So a lot of guys were like, yep. Because the training for this program, depending what specific job you did, could take up to a year and a half just to get trained. And then you had to have enough time in your enlistment to actually serve at a site. But you had to pass a test to get into this program. They wanted the best of the best running these sites, probably for obvious reasons. If you failed the test, or you failed at any part during your training while you're on a site, you would be kicked off the Nike site, and during the Vietnam era, you could be sent to Southeast Asia in as quick as 3 days. That was very good motivation to do well and make sure you passed all your tests. But back to the refueling area, much to the delight of all Nike crews, in 1959 when they switched over from the Nike Ajax to the Nike Hercules, the Nike Hercules had a solid fuel component which completely eliminated the need for this process. A lot of our volunteers here are actually former Nike veterans. You're going to meet one at the end of the tour, a gentleman by the name of Alec. We're very lucky to have those guys, but the guys I know that worked during that period, they were very joyful that they didn't have to do this anymore. And it took so long, in fact, they told me they could never get everything done during the day, so they'd have to do this at night, which made it that much more dangerous. And if you look, you can see remnants of our elaborate lighting system out here. Big industrial military grade light bulbs, we had like 4 of them, and that was about it. So, but let's head over into the warhead building. But as you can see right here, this is a Nike Ajax missile. This is our country's very first ever guided missile. One of our volunteers did this great cutout here, so you can see the inner workings of the missile. These are the fuel tanks that held that nasty fuel I was just talking about. This is don't worry, it's just a simulated explosive charge. This is the actual explosive charge surrounded in a shrapnel casing. When these would explode, this would create approximately 22,000 pieces of shrapnel. And this would, to remind you, this would have been directed at a single Soviet bomber. So that's a lot of damage to one plane, almost sure to ruin their whole weekend. You've all seen the footage of the Apollo missions, the moon and the space shuttle taking off. Remember, shortly after takeoff, the booster section comes off, another engine kicks in. These missiles operate under the same principle. About 3 seconds or so after launch, this booster section from here back would come off, secondary motor would kick in and carry the rest of the way towards its target, and this is what it would look like mid-flight once the booster section came off.
And how was that? Was that just something melted away or something burned away, or they controlled separation?
They can control separation, and if these missiles lost contact with our radar after about 3.5 seconds, there was an automatic self-destruct sequence that would initiate. The last thing you wanted was these missiles going off into the distance. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, this gentleman actually got to work on these missiles on a site. So, don't believe me yet.
It's been 50 years.
Yeah. But, pretty interesting stuff. If you turn your attention over here, you all don't want to back up, so I got to pull this out. This is the body of a Nike Hercules, and if you all look inside, you can see the container that held the warhead itself. We have everything here at this site, but we don't, except the warheads and the fuel. Anything that goes boom, we do not have here. And we've not these things. But this is where they install the warheads into the missile. And this is how they hook this up to the testing equipment over there and make sure everything checked out. Once that was in working order, they would make it to the nose cone section you see right there. Hook everything up to this, and this is just a container. This is the body of the missile itself. And once that was done, they would wheel it over to the launch area. We're going to go in a few minutes. On this truck right here, the Army called everything on 4 wheels. Motor or no, they called it the truck back in those days. The average age of the soldiers here at this site had about 150 soldiers stationed here. The average age is about 18, 19 years old. You get a bunch of 18, 19 years old, 18, 19-year-olds on anything with a motor, invariably, at least a few of them are going to try and race it. So that's the last thing you wanted to happen on a nuclear missile site. So everything was done on these trucks, or these carts. So from the time they assembled it down there, they just push it over on a cart over here, and from here they push the cart over to the launch area, install the boosters, and then we'll be ready for service.
So is this site right here, were there multiple sites right around here, or this was the only one right here?
No, this is one of 12 Nike Missile Sites in the Bay Area.
But this was still alone by itself?
Well, yeah, well, the next closest one is just on the other side of the valley. If any of you know where the Marine Mammal Center is, that's built right in the same footprint where there was another launch area just like this one. The next closest from that, there was one up in San Rafael, where there's a Nike Ajax launch pad on Angel Island. There's two in San Francisco, one in Presidio, one roughly where the base of Sutro Tower is today. One in the San Mateo Hills, one out near Fort Funston, right near Battery Davis. There's an Ajax launch pad out there. One near Lake Chabot and Oakland. And at all times, at least one site in any given Nike defensive area, a minimum of one site would always be on what they call hot status. That makes you have your missiles up on the launchers, ready to launch at any given time. Typically, you'd be on hot status 24 to 48 hours. You would stand down, another site would take over. So that way, no matter what, we're always ready to launch a missile from any given defensive area at a moment's notice. Although we never fired a single missile from any of the Nike sites in the continental United States. They did, however, go to practice at least once a year. An inspector would show up at your site. He was called the staff inspector, the short notice annual practice inspector. So get your best launch crew together. We're going to White Sands, New Mexico, or Fort Bliss, Texas, to the testing ranges out there. Instead of shooting at Soviet bombers, they would shoot at one of those. That's called an RCAT, radio-controlled aerial target. Essentially a really big radio-controlled airplane. When you're out there in the test ranges, in the early days, from what I've been told, they used to hit those directly. They turned a lot of those into toothpicks over the years, and then somebody came up with the bright idea of recalibrating the computers so you could get the missile close by and tell if you got a hit or not without actually destroying the target. That little parachute behind the wings would pop out when it ran out of fuel, float back down to Earth, you could retrieve it and use it over again. Those cost about $25,000 back in the mid-1960s. A lot of money today, way more money back then. But even then, there's only 3 of those known left in existence, and we have all 3 of them here on site.
Wow.
This is the only place in the world you can see one of those. In our office, we're hoping to get a picture large enough to display to the public. We have a picture of a woman in an old black and white picture wearing coveralls, big grin on her face. She's putting a propeller on one of those 2-stroke motors you see right here. It's the exact same type of motor that was in these RCATs. At the time, this lady's name was Norma Jean. As years went by, she got famous and changed her name to Marilyn Monroe. So we often look at that engine right there sitting there, and the one in the RCAT there, and we wonder to ourselves, did Marilyn put that one in? We like to think so, but there's no way to know. And again, we never fired a single missile from any of the Nike sites. Yet it was the second most expensive military program in our country's history.
Wow.
Can any of you venture to guess how much this program costs in today's dollars? Anybody?
Billions.
Was it?
Billions. A trillion.
In today's dollars, the Nike Missile program costs. And keep in mind, I mean, there's multiple missiles at each site, over 100 soldiers at each site. This program is active for 20 years plus. In today's dollars, the Nike Missile program costs $7.4 trillion.
Wow.
And we never fired a single missile. But some would say, many would say it helped prevent World War III, in which case I'm very happy to be here with you all today. So it's probably $7.4 trillion as well. Very, very glad we're here to speculate on that and nothing ever happened. Any questions while we're still in this building? And, yes, sir.
I think, what was it, 1961 or 62 when Kennedy was our president? Castro had missiles pointed at the United States, and he told me to get rid of the missiles or else I was going to break loose and all that. Now, when they had those missiles pointed at the United States, did we do the same thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. These sites were actually mobile. You may have noticed some of those white trailers out in front had wheels on them. We could move these sites and set one up in approximately 24 hours or so, minus travel time, of course. But during the Cuban Missile Crisis, the southern coast of Florida was ringing with these portable Nike sites, just in case. So if any of these missiles came our way, or bombers came our way, we could shoot them down. Not only were these missiles capable of shooting down enemy bombers, but they were actually capable of shooting down similar missiles of their own type. So, pretty stunning stuff. And by the way, too, as we go around the site today, take all the pictures you want. Nothing is classified. Before you entered the site, you had to surrender anything that could potentially create a spark or a flame. Cigarettes, ladders, matches, anything of that nature. You had to turn over to Norton and Greeley here. But here, another sign of the changing times. Here we are 20, 30 feet away from a nuclear missile launch area. Smoking permitted within this building. Something tells me if you go up to Vandenberg Air Force today, where today's missileers are located, you have to go just a little bit further from the launch area to have a smoke. But of course, if you walked on the other side of that fence and tried to have a cigarette, chances are Norton and Greeley here would probably start shooting at you. But that would set off a spark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully Norton and Greeley were good enough shots, they wouldn't do it. But luckily nobody had to find out at least at this site. When these soldiers came down this hill, they were never told the difference between a drill, a test, the real thing. You're just showing off for the generals. They did that for a reason, to acclimate them to the pressure over time. So if you think about it, I mean, every time you got called down, running down those stairs, you knew good and well this could be it. We could be launching one of these missiles for real. This could be the beginning of World War III. And all these soldiers that worked at these sites knew that the Soviets knew where all these sites were, and they could expect a retaliatory strike very shortly. That being said, believe it or not, the first thing they wanted to know when they came down those stairs wasn't, is this the real thing? First thing they wanted to know was, did somebody put the guard dogs away that used to live over in those kennels over there? We had 4 German Shepherd guard dogs here. Each had their own individual trainer. They had one job only. It was to keep people out of there.
Okay, that's great.